opportunity to talk to you and know that you're a very busy leader. And that's precisely what I wanted to talk to you about. It is increasingly important and obvious that women are taking a very strong role in leadership around the world. And it is no different. In fact, it is quite obvious that it's happening a lot in climate action. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, your leadership, and what you think of this?
Well, first of all, before talking about me, I just think it's absolutely fantastic to see young women, older women step up and try and drive the phenomenal transformation that's required for us to address the climate crisis. I've been working in development and humanitarian work, human rights work, since I was 23, so that's about 25 years ago. It has been largely a male-dominated space. While if we talk about women's rights, yes, that's been the space for women, but the rest of the sector has been quite male-dominated. And we've seen some shifts in recent years, but it's nice to see that this climate action drive is coming from women.
It is fantastic, and we can see that the passion has been driven now more by women than by men. And I actually have seen this through my practice as a coach, considering that even 83% of the clients I currently have are actually female, who seek to increase their leadership.
Yeah.
But tell us about your leadership. What vision do you have, and how did you get to where you're at?
You know, the first thing to say is that I don't think one can plan to get to where one gets. It's certainly if I'm ever asked for advice, I very often point out that you cannot actually plan a career. You can be a manager of your own brand, of your own values, of your own passion and desires for what you want to change. And then hopefully through that, will you be maybe given the kind of responsibility that is necessary for you to drive transformation. I think I've also come to appreciate over probably more over the more recent years, that you don't actually have to hold a position of formal power to drive transformation. I mean, we've talked a little bit today about Greta Thunberg. I mean, she couldn't be in a position of less power, formal, but boy, she's driving transformation and she's waking up the world. And from my own perspective, when I reflect over my own leadership, if I can be more of a solution seeker and less of a problem solver, and get the right people to the table, take a step back myself, the more I can affect change and transformation, which I think ultimately, in regardless of where you are and in which sector, is the primary responsibility of a CEO.
It's interesting you say this, because you're very right. A lot of people do believe that in order to be a leader, you need to have a formal position of leadership. Be a manager, be a CEO, be a politician, and so on. But the reality is that a lot of the transformation occurs through grassroots movements, where there is no formal status of leadership. There is just doing and being, which is fantastic. Now, one thing that every leader has in common, any leader that is visible out there, or that affects change or transformation, is that they have a vision. They see more, and they see more before the rest of the people. What's your vision?
You know, I'm not sure I agree with you. I actually don't think it's the individual leader's vision that matters, unless you have one of these sort of brains that, as you said, can see everything before everybody else. But most leaders that we see are still fairly ordinary. But what they do have an ability to do is to mobilize a lot of people to build a vision together and drive towards that vision. So here at Plan International, we took a very deep breath 5 years ago and we said, what is it that we really deeply want to affect in the world? And the vision that came out of that, a purpose that basically says we want to make sure that every girl on the face of the earth is heard and equally appreciated. That's not my vision. Yeah, I can sit and dream of that for my daughters or my granddaughters. But this is a vision for an entire organization with 10,000 staff that have the ability to reach 100 million girls. And the fact that I was able to help from my position take that dream and that vision of thousands of staff and put it into the DNA of an 83-year-old organization to get all staff to work towards the same vision, that I think is something that is a valuable asset to have as a leader, not to come up with the one big dream that everybody follows. There are very few of those leaders, at least, and I'm not one of them.
But you do have the strength and the character to be able to lead people into this common vision.
Yeah, I think I have some communication skills, some energy, some way of helping people in very different circumstances, whether you're working in a program unit for Plan in Malawi or whether you are a donor in Stockholm that wants to give us money, to help them see that while it looks like a huge audacious dream to make sure that every girl is equal with her brothers and the boys and men around her, that it is possible, and that the kind of social mobilization that comes with that and the kind of storytelling that comes with that, I think is probably one of my attributes, and one of the attributes of good leaders as well.
So you mentioned storytelling. I'm curious to know what role does storytelling have in today's leadership?
I think it's absolutely essential. We have seen for many, many years that some of the necessary changes, whether it's gender equality, whether it's ending poverty, whether it's climate action, etc., that data and even data produced by the world's best and foremost scientists is overlooked and overheard. Whether that's politicians dismissing climate action or CEOs of large companies dismissing the fact that a gender equal workplace is better for the bottom line of that company. There's evidence out there. It's absolutely clear. It is still dismissed. So I think data, numbers, evidence is not enough, and that's where storytelling comes in, where you give center stage to those that can bring these, the best examples to the table, who can share their personal both fear, energy, reality every single day. We have helped, Plan International has helped change national legislation for ending early and forced marriage of girls through making sure that 5-10 girls in a country that were forced into marriage at 14, at 12, could tell their stories in the national parliaments. And that reality of connecting the real live experience with policymakers, decision makers, has been an incredibly powerful force for change across the world. And that's why I think storytelling matters.
So the way I hear it is basically through storytelling, we're able to create the empathy that is necessary to change minds and change hearts.
Yeah, because politics is personal. And unless you connect with something personally, whether that is your own family or your own reality, or an individual that you can see and feel and empathize with that's in the room with you, it's very hard to get particularly well-educated, affluent, elite politicians to change their mind.
Now, when it comes to girls, I truly believe that one of the solutions for a lot of the issues we have in the planet today is education. And I'd just like to get your take on that and how this can be, well, urgently put forward faster.
Well, the interesting thing is that over the last 20, 30 years, we have almost achieved what we call gender parity in primary education. More girls and boys generally complete primary education. So we poured a lot of money into it and we've gotten phenomenal results. What happens, unfortunately, is that girls drop out of secondary education. And that comes with the sheer biological fact that when girls are about 12, 13, 14, they go into puberty. And that in and of itself, because of the taboo around it, because of the social norms, because of the fact that sometimes there's no toilet for girls where they can go when they're menstruating, etc., that all becomes a barrier. And so girls drop out of school. So the primary thing that we feel is missing in the conversation about making sure that more girls finish their education is that there are a lot of social norms that need to change. And there are a lot of taboos around what it means to be an adolescent girl that need to be removed. And again, that for me means that leaders in positions of power, whether that's in the school system, in local politics, national politics, need to actually take time to sit and listen to the girls themselves, hear their realities, hear what's holding them back, and put in place some fairly low-cost solutions for making sure that the girls can actually stay in school.
And how do we make those policymakers sit down and listen?
I think that everybody in a position of power that share this vision can actually help become allies of these girls. They typically, whether it's men or female in positions of power, can open a door here or there. One thing that absolutely needs to happen is that everybody opens the door for young change makers, be they boys or girls, to make sure that they are heard in the halls of formal power.
Yeah. So what actions...
It's not about using the power that we have in leadership positions for ourselves or even for our organizations or our bottom lines. It is to use that power to pave the way for those that are currently driving movements of change.
Well, this is a paradigm shift anyways in leadership today, right? Where before leadership used to be, about doing what's best for the leading classes. Now, and get as many followers as we can attach to our goals, our vision, and so on. Now, a leader, more than anything, is someone who serves others.
Yeah.
And that's what we really need to understand. And the places where it's not happening, I sure hope it happens quickly, because only through understanding others through empathy can we really lead as true leaders should, right?
Yeah, no, I completely ascribe to that. And it's not an easy transition, but I think we are seeing signs that that a number of successful leaders, whether it's Paul Pullman at Unilever or whether it's Jacinda as the Prime Minister of New Zealand, are showing new styles of leadership that go way beyond personal and institutional interests.
Yeah. And that's what makes it transformational. It goes and reaches beyond our own personal limitations, our own borders, our own organizations. Right? That's fantastic. Is there anything that you would like to add today?
I think it might just be worth saying that Plan International recently did a study of 10,000 young girls and women across 27 countries in the world. And what we found is that over 80% aspire to become a leader of some kind in their communities, in their schools, in their countries. And they actually have confidence in their own ability, regardless of the level of education they have or the social status they have or various others. They feel that they have an innate leadership quality. What they are worried about and what's holding them back is the abuse that young women and girls are exposed to when they step into leadership positions. In the climate movement, we've seen how Greta Thunberg is treated by hate and abuse, and that kind of pushback to young female leadership absolutely has to stop. And again, as those of us that have weathered some of those storms, or some men that have never felt it, can help stop it, point out bad behavior, I think we have to call that out as a barrier all the time. And currently, the primary barrier to girls and young women being heard, valued, respected, and taken into account.
Well, I think that we're closing this off in a very honest, open, and a great note here, Birgitte. So thank you so very much for your time. Really appreciate it. And I look forward to future interactions with you.
Yeah, thank you, Peter. And thanks for this opportunity to talk to you.